The player met the Ice Queen in the blue great hall near her throne. The Ice Queen stood in front of him and smiled with her right hand proudly raised. "You left your comrades in a deadly place to get here? How does it feel?" the Ice Queen asked the player. "A deadly place?" he asked. "These guys are not easy to beat," said the player, slowly pulling the sword from its scabbard. "Besides, wouldn't it all be over if I just finished you off?" said the player, squinting at the Ice Queen. "Ha ha ha," the Ice Queen laughed in response. "Will you finish?" asked the Queen. "You don't seem to know anything about this world," the Ice Queen told him. "Shut up," said the angry player, confidently holding a sword in his hands. "Now is not the time for chatting," he added, standing in front of the Ice Queen in her hall. "I will kill you and then this nightmare will end," the player said, clutching the sword even more tightly in his hands. The Ice Queen stood in front of her and smiled, holding her ice weapon in her hands. The player accelerated strongly, so that ice began to scatter under his feet in all directions. The dark silhouettes of the Ice Queen player could be seen above in the air. They were preparing for a fierce battle, and in the battle, the player swung the ball. The Ice Queen swung the ice staff with all her might. They fought so fiercely that whirlwinds of ice and snow swirled around like a blizzard. The Ice Queen stabbed with her ice staff. She gathered her powerful freezing energy in her hand and launched it towards the player. Ice Queen's powerful blow caused a green glow and knocked the player aside. The player struggled to stay on their feet despite the powerful whirlwinds of ice and snow. The purple and blue flashes during the battle were so bright and intense that they caused the heroes to scatter to the side. The battle is over. In the middle of the ruined hall, the Ice Queen sat on the floor, leaning over and resting her hands with her back to the player, and he also stood with his back to her with his sword lowered in his hand. "It was fun," said the Ice Queen with a smile. "But I'm not really here," the player replied, looking from under his brows at the Queen and squeezing the sword in his hand more tightly. He thrusts his sword sharply into the Ice Queen's chest. Suddenly, there is a blinding white flash. A bright white light flashed on the chest of the Ice Queen, blinding everything around. He absorbs the Ice Queen's power and becomes covered in ice. "What?" the player exclaimed and opened his bright blue eyes in surprise. His body will enter a state of hibernation until he completely absorbs the Ice Queen's core. Let's temporarily go back to what happened earlier, 0 o'clock South Pole. In the last dungeon, located there among the dark, sharp rocks, a bright blue glow was visible, similar to a luminous silhouette or portal. Meanwhile, in the Ice Queen's nest, "What?" the hero exclaimed, and a large male fist in black fingerless gloves powerfully hit the ice wall. "So everyone else will just die?" the big muscular hero with black hair and hands covered with tattoos desperately exclaimed. "Coming all this way to get here," he added, "because only one person can climb the stairs." "Calm down, Callie." The heroine with blue hair and a white suit and a staff in her hands answered him. Our player was also standing in the hall, a girl with dark hair in a dark suit and a sword behind her back, and a fair-haired guy in a cowboy hat and a light coat. "We don't have much time. We must make an informed decision," said the blue-haired girl. "And I think the grim ghost should go," she added. "Sky." The player, who is also a gloomy ghost, answered askance and indignantly. "I agree with Sky's decision," added the hero in the cowboy hat. "We'll be at a disadvantage against an enemy with ice abilities," he continued. "Crap! It pisses me off that I can't go," said the gloomy ghost, clenching his teeth. "But in fact, there is no one better than this type, so I agree," said Callie. "And since Callie agreed so quickly, we can assume that we are all of the same opinion," said a girl with dark hair and a sword on her back. "What else does that mean?" Callie was outraged. "You probably already understood," the girl with dark hair added. "I also think that a gloomy ghost must go." "Then the decision is made," said the gloomy ghost, standing in front of 4 friends. "Are you sure you won't regret it?" asked the gloomy ghost. "Looking at friends will we regret? If we die because you failed to defeat the Ice Queen, then most likely we will regret it," said a friend in a cowboy hat. "However, we trust you." A gloomy ghost stood surprised and looked at his friends. "I'm sure you will do everything to prevent this from happening," Sky said. "Right?" And she smiled. "Guys," 4 friends stood and smiled. "We believe in you," they said. "Excuse me?" the gloomy ghost answered quietly. After 25 years with the onset of 2024, a monster appeared that humanity was unable to cope with. We see a large glass building with a beautiful facade. On the big stage, a man in a black suit speaks to the audience and says the following. The Ice Queen, who froze the Pacific Ocean with a wave of her hand, was an unusual monster. After her appearance, everyone lost hope. Only 5 small timers, in whom a spark of hope still glimmered, went to the South Pole. "Nest conquest!" shouted a boy from the hall. "That's right, you are very smart for your age," answered the man from the stage. The music played and the lights turned on. These are the legendary players who have accomplished the greatest feats in the history of all mankind, added the person from the stage. The man snaps his fingers. Now they are called 5 heroes. 5 frozen silhouettes appear on the scene. The man on the stage continues to say that thanks to the fact that the Ice Queen was defeated by the heroes, many safe zones appeared on the earth. In this regard, but at this moment, the hand of one of the heroes seemed to move a boy from the hall, pointed at the statue and shouted, "The ice statue had just moved." Unfortunately, this time the answer is wrong, added a girl in a dark suit from the stage, and the internal temperature of this reinforced glass wall is monitored around the clock, said the girl from the stage, pointing to the statues so as not to damage the ice statues. The girl added. Suddenly she turned to the statue, not understanding what was happening. "Of course," the girl stuttered. "Now nothing will happen to them." At this time, in the background, one of the statues began to crack. The gloomy ghost breaks out of the ice captivity. Ice shards fly in all directions. The gloomy ghost falls. The girl in the black suit runs away to the side. Now the absorption rate is 100%. The grim ghost comes to life and lies on the floor among the ice. Congratulations, the grim wraith has consumed the Ice Queen's core. He acquired a new ability, freezing. "It's cold," the gloomy ghost said with a shudder. "What's going on here?" "Lying on the floor," said a gloomy ghost. At this time, many people ran to him both from the hall and from the stage. Our hero reads news, a legend waking up from a long sleep. The return of the gloomy ghost, the greatest player who overcome the Ice Queen 25 years ago. Associations of the Association of Players. Hero health for us above all. A huge amount raised on the day of the heroes on the memorial fundraising, warm neighboring love. 25 years have passed? The hero is surprised by reading the news. He was in the bed of the hospital ward. Looking at his hand, he says, "Maybe I have no strength at all due to the fact that I was frozen for such a long time. I can't even hold my hand in a fist. 25 years. My body is trembling," added a gloomy ghost. "Mr. Gloomy Ghost." 3 doctors approach the ward. One of them says, "At the moment, the president of the Association of Players goes here." "I know him?" the gloomy ghost asks. "If not, then let it turn around. I can't stand it when they bother me." "And yes, he always told you as about his close friend," the doctor added. "Friend? There are not many people who could call me their friend." And he remembered 4 players. "Thank you for handing over." "Well, I find out at the meeting," the gloomy ghost said from the sneaky. "By the way," he added, "and the world has really changed. That is what I guys were so striving for, this safe world." "Looking out the window at the blue sky," said a gloomy ghost. "What should I do? I just know how to fight, it turns out. I was thinking a gloomy ghost, and be that as it may, now I cannot wear a mask," the gloomy ghost said, removing a dark mask from his face. A cute young man was hiding behind the mask. "Mr. Gloomy Ghost," he heard from a doctor. "Why did you take off the mask?" The doctor was indignant. "Well," started a gloomy ghost, "because we live in a safe world. Heroes are no longer needed?" he asked. "Well, just how to explain to you?" The doctor answered in confusion. "Damn, why do you have such a reaction?" the gloomy ghost asked. "Let me explain to me." A man with dark hair in a black strict suit with 2 accompanying people appeared in the doorway. "You!" The gloomy ghost was surprised. "Are you by any chance Toku?" asked our hero. "Please leave us," the man asked in a black suit. "Yes, sir," the doctor answered. "With Junho, you have not changed at all. the man said in a black suit. "Hey, this voice is definitely Toku." A gloomy ghost laughed. "Hey, look! I said that you will have a bald head in the form of the letter M." The gloomy ghost laughed with a finger. You have nothing more to say later for so many years?" the man answered. "What else could I expect from this bastard with Junho? A touching reunion, how can a man say?" "Have you hoped for this?" the gloomy ghost asked. 25 years have passed. Did not create a cure for baldness?" The gloomy ghost laughed. "This little man is still the same," the man answered. "You have not changed either, not counting your appearance, of course. So what kind of reaction did the doctors have?" "Everything has already ended, so why are they worried?" asked the gloomy ghost. "The thing is that 25 years ago, at the moment when you won the Queen's Nest, all the players received the same notifications," says the man. "Congratulations, the Ice Queen is defeated." Such messages, and I thought, with Junho, you did it. People around the world hugged each other, laughing with joy. However, this very world did not allow the joy to last even 1 minute. In the Pacific Ocean, an interspatial elevator is installed. People are at a loss. Second floor. Moving to the spatial zone became possible. "What is this nonsense? Second floor? What does this mean?" people shouted. "The murder of the Ice Queen was not the end?" Another message. "Try to reach the top floor." After that, all the players of the world, the association and politicians gathered to hold a meeting. As a result of the protracted meeting, it was decided to send the advanced group to the border zone. The second floor has become our land. Humanity not only mastered magic and technologies, but also gained access to a huge number of resources and knowledge. "So what happened?" the gloomy ghost asks. "Thanks to all this, an abundant land arose," the man continues to tell. "But this is not what I wanted to know about," said a gloomy ghost. "Only 10 floors, the man answered. "In the interspatial elevator, buttons are installed from the 1st to the 10th floors. The 10th floor," thought a gloomy ghost. "We had to spend 5 years to win over the Icy Queen. After that, for 25 years, if they cleared 5 floors, now they should be at the 7th. However," he continued, "compared to our team in the area of the rest of the players, it was much lower. Therefore, only we went to the South Pole. To be a realist, then they should be on the 5th floor. So how many floors have we already taken possession of?" the gloomy ghost asks. The man is silent. The gloomy ghost asks him, "Over the past 25 years, humanity has been able to take possession of only 2 floors, the man answered sadly. The gloomy ghost was in shock, and he had nothing to say. "As many as 25 years, 25, repeated the gloomy ghost. "For such an impressive period, did you get to the 2nd floor only?" he asks with anger. This may sound like an excuse, but the reason is the reason. The man answers, "Fine. I will listen to because I am interested in knowing how stupid they are," the gloomy ghost said. "The core of the Ice Queen," said Toku. The gloomy ghost looked at him inquiringly. Toku continued the story. "The environment of the 3rd floor is similar to the volcanic zone. Therefore, only a few players who are resistant to the heat of the magma can go there. After a while on the 3rd floor, in the middle of the lava ocean, we were able to find an altar that I demanded to troll the queen to cool the environment." "So you found the core?" the gloomy ghost asked. "I feel so ashamed. We searched the queen's nest tens of thousands of times, but we didn't find anything," Toku answered. "It is not surprising because I absorbed him," the gloomy ghost thought. "Oh well, nothing can be done. You are just unlucky." Toka reassured a gloomy ghost. "Anyone may be mistaken. We must treat each other with understanding." He said a gloomy ghost put his hand on his friend's shoulder. "Therefore, if I make a mistake, you will also try to understand me?" the gloomy ghost asked. "Of course, what is it about?" Toku laughed. Meanwhile, the gloomy ghost thought when he would tell his secret to hear less grunts. Until the evening, they talked with their affairs. "It's already so late. I am hungry. Can we eat something?" suggested a friend. The gloomy ghost answered negatively and showed a postcard from the Seoul Historical Museum on which the 5 sleeping heroes are depicted. He and his friends. "They say this is very popular. the gloomy ghost noted. He decided to go to the first floor. Toku replied that there are a lot of journalists there now, so he does not think that there will be a good idea to go there together. Just tell me that I can go alone through a spare exit, said a gloomy ghost. Then immediately go back to the hospital, Toku said. The order is accepted, answered a gloomy ghost. But the identification in the museum was successful, and the gloomy ghost came inward. Seeing the skeleton of the monster, he was surprised that they also exposed like that too. But he needed a room where his friends were located, and it seems he found him. He entered the great hall, at the end of which 4 of his friends in the form of frozen statues stood in a row. Sorry that it's so late. A gloomy ghost told them, you guys knew that the world has become better. We defended the world that we dreamed about. He continued, so now we will rest in peace. I wished his friends a gloomy ghost. He poured some kind of drink of 5 glasses, one of which drank and said, here, accept. Alcohol tasted sweet, and looking at the figures of friends, he saw that there were many on them. After touching the figure of Sky, the possession of the skill of freezing was confirmed, but the parameters of magic were insufficient, and the ice cover was not removed. The gloomy ghost realized that with the help of the skill of freezing, he could remove the ice glass of frozen figures. So I can remove the ice cover and bring them back to life? Asked himself questions, gloomy ghost. He opened a description of his characteristics and capabilities. The level is 1, with Jun Ho. My indicator of magic 18? Did they do it on purpose? The gloomy ghost was indignant. He looked at the table in the middle of the hall in bewilderment. With Jun Ho had significantly reduced characteristics that were supposed to recover. It will not work to recover in a day or two, but maybe it's still real. Well, here he is the key. Freezing level E. Toku always said that there is nothing above level S. Maybe I am the very first, but now the problem is with magic. Also, the ghost saw that he was a master of the first floor, and his restoration of magic was at a speed of 500%. It turns out he received this title after defeating the Icy Queen. Wait a minute. Each time, rising an interspatial elevator to 1 floor, the value of all statuses increased by 30 points. The gloomy ghost was surprised. With such an effect, if we assume that climbing the floors, I can restore my level, then I will not only significantly improve my abilities, but also completely subordinate the power of the Ice Queen. And then the ghost will be able to melt the ice and save everyone. The gloomy ghost hit his fist along one statue's. Wait a little more, and I will definitely pull you out of there, said a gloomy ghost, turning to friends. The case happens in the hospital again. Do you want to recover as a player? Shouted Toku. Why are you so surprised? You knew. In addition, I am not capable of anything. Why did you put a wig again? Answered a gloomy ghost. This is too unexpected. Previously you only did what you said in your desire to resign. Toku was indignant. It was 25 years ago, the gloomy ghost recalled. In any case, I do not think that this is a good idea, Toku said. Why? The gloomy ghost asked. Firstly, you have to relax well, and also continued Toku, because of the demons. Demons are players using their awakened forces in order to satisfy their own desires and engage in illegal actions, killings, and terrorism. They are like malignant tumors in society. Are these types reappeared again? With me, they could not make a sigh. Said with Jun Ho. It was then, emphasized Toku. Starting from the 2nd floor, there is no observation camera, nor a satellite. In addition, no country has funds for suppressing demons. It seems that they felt the taste of life. Moreover, you did not have, said Toku. Toku, now I understand why you are against my return, said with Jun Ho. Do these creatures still hate me? He asked Jun Ho. Thoughts of your murder will bring them in full delight, said Toku. Therefore, he simply recommended to forget about this idea. The only way to return is safe to leave the name of the gloomy ghost and speak under his name with Jun Ho, said a gloomy ghost. But Toku did not understand why he would. 10th floor. I want to get to him, I cheerfully answered with Jun Ho. But why suddenly? Toku asked. On the 3rd floor is a volcanic zone. You said that there is no way to go through this floor, right? While he is not, Toku answered. What if I know one way? Said with Junho, eating his food. Toku was indignant that the gloomy ghost had a proposal on this score. After all, the core of the Ice Queen is necessary, right? Sael, said to Junho. Do you finish Selenthan? Asked Toku. But then he realized that he was not about that. Toku was wildly outraged by the fact that the gloomy ghost ate the core of the Ice Queen. With June, he explained, it was not because he wanted to absorb him, but as soon as he defeated the Icy Queen, it was absorbed into him, and what he could do. Toku wanted to attack Junho, but his pressure jumped up. He was indignant how he was still a friend of this guy. With June, No explained that in any case, this is how he had the ability to freeze. Toku realized that with her help, he could cool even the heat of the third floor. Toku asked Junho, the reason for your return is connected with your friends? With Junho answered in the affirmative. This is good news. It's true, they said. Toksu said that first you need to deal with the doctors who saw his face, and this is the lesser what he can do. With Junho was very glad and said that his friend is the best. Also, Junho reported that he had a level reset of the level, so now he is in the first, as well as all his stats. Tonku continued to torment pressure. Can you make me a new player's license? Asked Junho. Toku just forgot to say that the guilds are now more powerful than associations. In large guilds, it is now customary to personally attend exams for obtaining a license, and that with Junho you can confirm a license only when he passes when you are an exam. Here I can help you in EU, replied Toku. It cannot be compared with past times. Toku emphasized that for Junho, this is a good chance. After all, we need a reason if I am going to keep you completely, Toku said. Do you think how we will do it? He explained with Junho that he needed to get the best result, so that everyone wanted to take him to his hands. Okay, I understood, he said with a smile with Junho. I can't wait for the exam. The Association of Players, the place of passing the exam for obtaining a license. We see a large, spacious hall in which many people stand, with Junho received serial number 75. Yeah, they spent a lot of money, said with Junho looking around. A girl came out of the room who said to wait here until he was invited. With June wanted to appreciate a rather relaxed atmosphere in the hall. The queue was not yet soon. With Junho decided to listen to what the other participants are talking about. For this purpose, the skills of darkness and improved hearing were activated. He heard such phrases. Have you seen morning news? The ancient dungeons on the second floor finally won. It seems that today's examiner will be the president of the Shim Tonggu Association himself. If you failed the exams today, it will be for the 4th time. Well, everything is quite peaceful. Emphasized with Junho, candidate number 1 was called to the exam. The exam has begun. Candidate number 1 stands with a spear in the middle of a large room. He watches Junho with interest. Holograms of enemy began to appear. Someone from the observation hall said that the morale of the candidate has number 1 impressive monsters were scared and now retreat. The man from the audience said that the participant would easily pass the exam and envy him. Junho doesn't think so. If you want to protect the space around you, the spear is perfect, but when the enemy begins to approach, do not swing them, only you will do it worse. The number 1 exam did not pass. He was defeated by opponents. With June, Ho believes that everything will continue in the same spirit. Finally reached the 75th issue. We practically finished, the examiners sigh today. None of the participants liked them. No one corresponded even to the basic requirements. They wanted to finally finish it with this, so they call the next participant. Our hero enters the hall. All examiners are very surprised. The questions went, who is this type? He took with him all types of weapons, sword, onions, throwing knives, and even a spear. It seems he dragged the whole arsenal. So skinny, he is unlikely to take care of himself. Another imitator of a gloomy ghost, emphasized the woman. Extension. Of course, I told him to stand out so that it was entertaining, he said to Toku. But this is a bastard. Member number 75 with Junho, are you ready? He nodded in the affirmative. The exam began, and holograms of dwarfs began to appear, the average growth of which is 130 centimeters, physically inferior to the average man. 20 dwarfs. They look quite realistic. Well, let them imitate dwarfs as much as you like. With June, he remembers old times. He shouted to them, "Attack!" The dwarfs surrounded him from all sides. With Jun-ho using his weapon, scattered dwarfs in all directions. Holograms are divided into parts and pixels, but all the time new dwarfs appear. Is it worth it then to beat them if new ones appear? I thought with Jun-ho. What is the point then? He saw the dwarfs attack him from behind, from the back. With Jun-ho turned around and took out a bow. It is useless to run away. He was taught to shoot from a bow by the famous artificial shooter Gilberto Green. He is a guy in a cowboy hat. Dwarfs, grinning their teeth, grabbed their knives and continued to attack. This type of weapon will be the last. With Jun-ho took out a sword. He outlined the circle around him with a sword. All the dwarfs who entered the circle line, they were thrown to the sides and they scattered into pieces. The circle was burning with a flame. "Hurt!" exclaimed with Jun-ho 75th number, participant with Jun-ho. "You successfully passed the exam. Congratulations. If it hurts me so much after that, then I need to do its physical preparation," said our participant. "Marvelous. There is nothing to add," the examiner said. "My eyes let me down," the woman said. "He turned out to be not just another imitator of a gloomy ghost," the man said. "He deftly wielded a spear, metal knives, and fired aptly from a bow. Even his art of fencing was on top. His ability to communicate with weapons is amazing," said another examiner. "It is incredible that he was able to do this with such a thin body." It was also heard among them. The examiners looked at his profile. His only skill was the possession of weapons. They think this is D level D? Is this not even his auxiliary skill? If he owns only one level of level D, it is useless to teach him. There will be too many restrictions as the level rises. His combat skills are very remarkable, but they do not cost our investments. This is the opinion of the examiners. The examiners want to avoid loss as much as possible. They do not need to follow a difficult path. "If so," said Toku, "then there should be no problems with his accession to the Association of Players." "I think we made a decision," said Toku, drinking a cup of tea. "I feel guilty only because I forged his profile." We see the profile of the participant with Jun-ho with the main skill of owning a weapon of level D and a mark on the exam. Association of Players. Toku laughs, "Ah ha ha ha." This short story is unrealistically ridiculous. Laughs with Jun-ho, eating chips and washed down. In fact, the most respected player in the world who takes first place. The player on which everyone is equal to the same gloomy ghost. By the way, he was discharged 2 days later. "Patience, patience, and only patience," repeated Toku. "With Jun-ho," he shouted, "I turn to a friend who lies on the couch and reads a book, eating chips." "What are you reading?" "The short story in which the protagonist is the priest, but they just fight there. They are healed." "Are they crazy?" Toku was surprised. "Oh well," in confusion answered with Jun-ho. Toku asked Jun-kh to stop reading and looking at what materials he brought him. Toku was surprised why he even requested information about the Not One gates, and asked if he was going to go there with his level. With Jun-ho answered, "I'm going." Would I then learn about them? Interesting. Nobody managed to win them. "Do you even understand what this means?" exclaimed Toku. "Do not forget this," said with Jun-ho. "The gates, crowded with different traps and monsters that attack everyone in a row. From the players trying to win them, there are not even corpses left. Therefore the gates, which have never been captured, call the unhealthy gates. Further, there was a conversation that only beginners can come in this level. Therefore, it is even more dangerous. High-level players are prohibited there. Beginners go there to pump their strength, but in the end, they die with the whole team." Toku said that this is already too much. Why go to her conquered gates in this state? With Jun-ho asked him not to worry. In addition, are not the conquered gates not a headache for association? "Yes, this is so," Toku answered. "But how can I send my friend to such a dangerous place?" "Toku!" exclaimed with Jun-ho. "Yes, now there should be a touching moment, but I still decided to go there with Jun-ho because he thinks that it will be useful for him." Toku does not understand him. Over time, the awards and gates increase. For many years, the gates have not been conquered. Therefore, I can get a huge number of experience points. Therefore, did you choose this place to quickly increase your level? Toku asked. In response to the consent, Toksu reminded Junho, did he manage to forget about how he died and risen? And what cannot increase the level in a safer way? My comrades are still in ice imprisonment and are waiting for me to free them. They would do the same. Sighing answered with Junho. Anyway, it is not at all necessary to choose the thorny path. I noticed Toku, but this was not the only reason. Sooner or later, with Junho, we'll have to meet the demons face to face. Time is definitely not on his side. It should be strong enough to, having met with them, to repulse. Toku did not think about it. He could not even imagine that with June he wanted such pressure. But this is not a pressure, but rather flashbacks from memory such bucks. Then Toku has nothing left to do more. How to find out about the gates that with Junho can enter. And it turns out, with such a level that he can only enter the unhealthy gates. Where are they located? He asked Junho. They appeared 7 years ago. Since then, 142 people tried to capture them, but in the end, they were eaten by monsters. Only first-level players can enter there, so this place is called the Grave of Newcomers. The capture conditions are not so difficult. To hold out until dawn. Some kind of message came to the clock with Junho. Oh, it seems your deposit has come, Toku said, and perhaps you are now officially belonging to associations. Then from that moment you are my subordinate for the next year. Incomparable with June, my subordinate, he added. Subordinate? I asked with June. Ho, okay, sir. I will show you what a devoted subordinate should look like. Jokes with Junho. Do not overdo it, replied Toku. By the way, about at home, can I stay here? The association seems to have a separate building allotted for players. Give me a room with a good look, asked with Junho. Good idea. Here you will be safe, answered Toku. He did not even doubt the room. If everything goes well, perhaps I can allocate you a whole floor, Toku added. But it no longer depends on me. You will force me to work out for everyone, answered with Junho. Oh, by the way, with June, he paid attention to a large box in which his new form lay. Junho admired. The form was so light and elastic, and the shape is cool. Where does it come from? Where did you get it, Toku? This is a masterpiece of Quan Nova. Is this old man still alive? He asked with Junho. Yes, this year he will be hit by 98. He handed his workshop to his grandson, but still works there. I can't believe Junho. He was about to jump up to him and visit the old man. Toku against. He believes that for the sake of his own safety with Junho, such situations should beware. Are you suspecting Quan Noa? He asked Junho. I do not suspect him, Toku answered. Demons follow the workshop. Demons are well aware of the relationship of a gloomy ghost with a Quan Noa. If with Junho to meet him now, he will give out his true face. With June, I agree. If he is like a beginner, he will go abroad to meet with Kavan Noa. People will definitely suspect something was wrong. I handed him through our employee in what situation we are now, so he must understand, said Toku. It's nothing you can do. First, you need to become stronger. With June, he asked Toku to thank Quan Noa from him for the uniform. What weapons can I use? He asked Junho. In the warehouse of the association there is a weapon is much cooler. You can choose any attracted, said Toku. With Junho was waiting for this moment. Yeah, you should not only compare this weapon by the Quan Noa masterpieces. To the question of Toku, when he went to capture, with Junho replied that he thought that it was worth doing it right now, but still need to practice. I was exhausted by the usual passage of the exam. If I have not enough physical preparation, I cannot fight with monsters, not with demons. Even the clothes are hanging on me, said with Junho. How long do you plan to train? Toku asked. 1 month? Is it too long? 1 month. 10 days enough. After 10 days, the city of Namyanju, Mount Chanma. The passage is closed. The pedestrian trail is closed. Thank you for your cooperation. With Junho stood in front of the luminous gates. Well, go ahead, he said with Junho and jumped into the gate. Gate curses of dawn, capture conditions to hold out until dawn. With June, Ho stood in a deserted cemetery against the backdrop of dawn. He entered the gate. Ha! Laughed with Junho. For some reason here I feel comfortable. Strange. There were only fallen graves and bare dry trees around him. A similar place seems cozy to me. Probably I'm slowly losing my mind, I thought with Jun-ho. With Jun, Ho once again read the information about the gates and realized that the capture conditions are not so difficult. The goal is simple. You just need to hold out until dawn. With Jun, Ho came at the right time. After studying the materials, he discovered that the teams that entered in the early morning lasted the longest. And the time inside the gate goes differently. The teams incoming in the afternoon did not have time to adapt to a temporary distortion. In addition, in all likelihood, they had to fight immediately. As a result, they found themselves in a hopeless position and died. After all players were exclusively the first level or lower. But I carefully prepared, and now I am in my best shape, I thought with Jun-ho. Show what you are capable of. The day has gone unnoticed, and it has already become dark, and the full moon is visible in the sky. In with Jun, Ho sat under a tree and read a book. It feels like the dead are sitting behind me, he thought. He looked around. Perhaps this is evil. He rose from the ground with the words, "It begins to annoy." Suddenly, the hand of a living corpse bursts out of the ground and grabs with Jun-ho by the leg. "So I thought," said with Jun-ho, taking out a sword and seeing a zombie desiccating from under the ground with a luminous blue fire eyes. With Jun-ho gave a zombie on the head of a sword and told him, no need to get out, just stay there." After our hero coped with the first zombie, he realized that there are a lot of them here. Night has come. The function of the night hunter is activated. Our hero has aggravated. With Jun, Ho stood in darkness. His eyes glowed. Suddenly he exclaimed, "Hell, there are a lot of them." Around him was a whole crowd of zombies, which surrounded the hero from all sides. It is quite difficult for beginners to deal with evil spirits, especially if it is a zombie, since they do not feel pain. Suddenly, one of the zombies crept up to our hero from the back and tried to attack with his mouth wide open. Jun-ho was not at a loss, instantly took out his sword and put his zombies in his head. But the zombie cannot be delivered a single deadly blow. They do not pay attention to the resulting damage and focuses exclusively on the attack. The zombies still continued to chase the Jun-ho, and he still skillfully continued to kill them. The zombie is perfectly panic among beginners who still have no developed abilities. Now our hero realized why this place is called the Newcomer Grave. "But I'm already an experienced noob," said with Jun-ho. At this time, new zombies began to climb from under the ground from behind, and abruptly with a cry to attack, holding out your hands. But our hero had a good reaction with the next attack. "I am not so weak that the mouth is due to such nonsense," said with Jun-ho, smiling proudly. However, looking around, our hero saw that there are still a lot of them, and they were all trying to kill him. After another difficult battle with Jun, he coped. The zombies temporarily stopped appearing. Our hero sat down to take a break near the stone tombstone, and suddenly he hears, "Who is here? Is this a voice?" The hero's eyes expanded in surprise. "Where are you?" shouted with Jun-ho. "Is this a person? I'm here!" There was a voice again. The hero ran in his direction. Fiddy Knick came from the coffin of lying in a half-tied grave. "Are you below?" asked Jun-ho. "Yes, I'm here, came back." "How did you get there?" he asked Jun-ho, tearing the ground with his fingers. "I trusted my friends and followed them here. All except me died." Someone answered from the coffin. "Please help me get out of here," someone asked me pleadingly. "Well," answered with Jun-ho, "but could you scream very loudly before that?" "Scream? Why?" someone asked. With Jun-ho had to determine his exact location. There was a loud scream from the coffin, after which the hero realized where he was, aimed and shot from a pistol into the coffin. The coffin cracked. And I thought everything about how these gates managed to buy more than 100 people so easily. "After all, you created this grave of newcomers, right?" said with Jun-ho, looking into the crack of the coffin. "Deceiver!" The next moment, a huge monster burst from the coffin with a wide open mouth and luminous eyes. He was impressive and very strong. "How do you know?" Not even having time to say this phrase, the monster was cut by a sword with Jun-ho and busted. It is impossible for someone to survive not conquered gates. After the start of the gate, they do not even open if at least one living player remained inside. Past players probably also knew this. but sometimes you act on the machine. It is not surprising, even if you take into account all the zombies, it would not be so difficult to defeat them all. However, the reason was covered in a deceiver, so all the monsters are destroyed. With June, he successfully overcame the Curse of Dawn. Judging by the information table, with Jun Ho rose to 4 levels. The value increased not much, but he must be satisfied with this. If the lost stats are returned every 5 levels, then it remains to rise by only 1. And it's all? Is it true? He asked with Jun Ho, looking at the scoreboard. As a reward for capture, he receives a new ability to confess the dead man level C. Damn, scared, really decided that the end was the end. By the way, I thought that a just random thing would fall out, and I acquired a new skill. What a lucky I am. The hero was delighted. Confession of the Dead Man. Level C. Effect. You can look into the memories of the dead memory reading skill, but this is only I can see the memories of the dead. Thinking with Jun Ho. Interestingly, I got this skill for victory over the deceiver. The conditions of use are quite specific, but I think it will come in handy to me. The thoughts of our hero take away deeper. But the main thing is the power received already as a player named with Jun Ho, and not a gloomy ghost. I look forward to the upcoming events, the hero said, smiling, looking at the long-awaited dawn. Lord, seriously? Exclaimed Toku, reading the newspaper in his office at the desktop. Nearby on the couch sat with Jun Ho drinking a drink. Since your return, this world still cannot get wet. Not a single calm day, he emphasized. Toku was all glowed with happiness, reading the Korean newspaper, which says that the gates of the Curse of Dawn were conquered in one night. It is funny to watch how these arrogant bastards from the guild know at the beginning. Toksu is amused. The newspaper also says that the name and the player who completed the Curse of Dawn has not yet been announced. Not surprising. The guild would not risk it. I disclosed the information. So why did the journalists continue to stir up water? Then Toku asked Jun Ho if he was going to reveal himself, to which he replied that he was not the time. If everyone finds out that you have captured the gate, you will become very popular, Toku said to your friend. He replied, you know why people buy luxury items, even if all things are manufactured in the same factory? Because they are expensive, suggested Toku. Yeah, not special, because they can afford everything, he heard in response. So you want to become a luxury product? Asked Toku, gleaming with gold hours on his hand. Not just an expensive thing, but an object that everyone wants to own, but no one knows where to get it. You need to become a legendary limited release, emphasized Jun Ho. It turns out that he just wants to warm up the public interest. Sometimes a bad person awakens in you. Your blood type by chance is not S, remarked Toku. But Jun Ho could not make people wait long. Smart people will be able to guess. Will this guy not appear in other not one gates? That's what they think. Therefore, the reporters will wait for your appearance at the wrong gate, the mentor laid out. Even if this happens, still I don't have to declare myself about myself. The world itself should gradually find out everything. Smoking, said Jun Ho. Since when did Jun Ho began to worry about the formalities? But he tried to explain everything. Then Toku suggested Jun Ho go eat. But he was indignant in response that he had recently ate. Why call again? The mentor replied that he needed to eat well. 71. Junmo stood on one hand in the gym. Sweat walked from him. Hail 72. He struggled. 73. And Jun Ho collapsed to the floor. The value of power is increased by 1 point. Ha, finally. Happy with himself. Jun Ho lay on the floor. Sweat walked him with a stream. Up. He got up and drank water, threw a towel around his neck. Now I feel alive, said the hero. Let's see. Jun Ho pressed his watch and brought the hologram with information. Luff Garden. Entrance conditions, 5th to 20s. The oldest not conquered gates of Korea, which appeared 9 years ago. If the gates are left alone for a long time, monsters will begin to get out of them, which will subsequently kill ordinary people. Such gates call open gates. The government and the association proposed a huge reward for the capture of the Luth Garden. Therefore, players from all over the country risked their lives to capture them, however. Out of 124 attempts, 124 failures. So the leadership had no choice but to ask for help abroad. They spent a fortune to hire a super recruit from India. His name was Tichar Vishi, a man with congenital talent, skillfully owning a bow. From the point of view of potential, he could be compared immediately with 5 Gilberto Green, or even surpass, Junho thought. However, Tichara Vishi was defeated, and everyone lost the hope that the Luth Garden would ever be captured. So the 22-year-old player with a bright future met his end. What an annoyance reading the article, Junho thought. Of course I could be in his place too, he said. That is why I need to go even more carefully to my preparation. Just with the help of physical exercises I have raised all my meanings, so now all my stats, with the exception of magic, are more than 30. I think that such values are quite high for my level. But even if Tikar, the rising star, failed the capture, one cannot exclude the possibility of having a hidden trap in these gates. During the preparation, I need to think over all possible options for the development of events. Getting up from the floor, said Junho, and completed the training. Nevertheless, he said, stretching. In his hand, the force of frost came to life and it lit up with blue light. Since I am already used to the use of the freezing skill, it is curious how much it will help me in real battle. Junho looked at the blue glow with the liking. Luth Garden. Junho stood in the middle of a flower-pink field, looking at the gazebo and holding a long gun. The necessary condition for these gates is to destroy all the monsters. I don't know how many monsters are waiting for me there, and if a team of 4 people failed, then there was a certain hidden trap, which disabled them, Junho thought. What is this? Junho said in surprise, when a round, large maze appeared in front of his eyes. Well, for starters, you should stay away from this suspicious zone. Luffs appear at night, so now you just need to relax and wait. All these monsters lead a night lifestyle. Twilight gradually came. Junho sat in the gazebo with the appearance of monsters, and now the black silhouette began to appear from the ground. There are 2 of them now. They looked like they were from black rags, faceless and incorporeal. 2 sharp spears of the monster crashed into the ground. What kind of? But it is necessary to warn about his appearance, Junho exclaimed. Night has come. All feelings have become aggravated. So far, there are only 2 of them. Our hero watched from the side. Such a warm greeting, he said with a grin. One of the monsters began the battle and flew over Junho. The hero ran with speed, stuck his spear into the ground. He climbed the air to make a jump. Already in the jump, Junho activated the force of frost. Grabbing an ice spear, Junho hit the monsters with all his might so that they scattered in all directions. The hero landed on the ground. Meanwhile, new monsters began to arise behind him. It's amazing, said Junho, looking at the ice spear. Of course, this is the skill of the Ice Queen, the hero admired. What, the invasion of monsters? He looked around. Well, 2 were clearly not enough. At least 4 more monsters with luminous red eyes looked at the hero. Junho dispersed, grabbed the spear and inflicted a crushing blow. Another remained. Looking squinting, Junho thought. The hero strikes his staff again, and not with the monster are faced in the battle. The monster is defeated. That's all? Too fast. Surprised Junho. But suddenly he turned around and saw at least twice as many monsters than was originally. When there were so many of them, just do not tell me that after the murder their number is growing geometric progression. Junho realized that he had to run. Crap! How many are there? Here are bastards! Running away from the crowd of monsters, our hero screamed. The monsters tried to attack with red rays. He swung an icy staff. Looking with hatred and despair at the monsters, he began to activate icy energy in his hand. Junho managed to activate the ice shield, but the blow and monsters split him. The monsters seemed to surround him. Junho grabbed an ice staff and hit force. After a moment, the field was dotted with the lifeless bodies of monsters. How tired I am, said Junho. How long does it last? Tiring, of course, but not so much as to fail a mission. However, something bothers me, he thought. Although I have a first-class freezing ability, if I still cope with such a level of complexity, 4 people definitely should be enough. Junho continued his thoughts. Among the players who tried to capture these gates over the past 9 years, there were strong players with great potential. The talented newborn Tichar Vichy is one of them. Judging by the fact that I saw the materials, he would calmly be able to remove at least half of them alone. If there were still Socommanders with him, they would definitely be able to capture the enemy. However, why did he fail the task? The monster attacks again. Junho again uses the power of the Ice Queen. Luff Garden is captured. The whole life of our hero flashed before his eyes. But he is still alive. Everything is fine. How he succeeded. But what is this place? He stood next to tall green cliffs. It was an entrance to the maze. Junho went into him. At his feet lay skeletons of fallen heroes with guns. And also he saw countless traces of fights. There were many corpses around. Did they all try to escape through this narrow entrance? There are so many fallen teams. As a result, this maze only stole a precious time from them. Junho looked around with regret. If they could not cope with the influx of monsters, then this place simply became a dead end for them. It seems that this is the end, the hero thought. But suddenly he saw in the hands of one of the sitting skeletons a luminous bow with a turquoise stone. And if Junho correctly remembers the information from the materials, then this should be the bow of a hurricane. After asking forgiveness, the hero took the bow from the hands of the skeleton. Hurricane. If you shoot from it, then in flight the arrow is spinning unpredictably, like a butterfly, so people compared with a bow raised with an onion with the power of a hurricane. From here this name went. The government of India handed him to Tichar Vichy. In this case, it should be it. In another, he notices a brown diary under the other hand of the skeleton. Junho wanted to check whether the name of the owner was written there. He began to read. April 7th, 2044, 1240. I was instructed to capture the Luth Garden in Korea. Is it true? Do you want me to do this? I agree. I'll do this so that you are gone, said Tichar. Think carefully. The gates could not capture for many years, the mentor told him. He was warned that he might not return. But since the Koreans asked for help, how he could refuse them? This contradicts the teachings of the god Vishnu. He was at the 10th level. This was the only chance to get into the Luff Garden. He was sure that he had to do this. Will you definitely go with me? Tichar asked the girl. Certainly. If you are going to go there, then I follow you. Smiling, she answered. I believe in you. I will send you anywhere, the girl said to Tikhar's hands. Tell me that you will go alone. I would still find a way to get there. I am so happy that you asked me to go with you. Thanks, Tichar. The girl smiled. Besides, I have to protect you, she said, laughing. Tichara was surprised. I'm glad you are with me, Zaya, answered Tichar. There is no one who would trust Tichar more than that girl. She was his partner. They stood together against the background of sunset and held hands. The girl on a ring finger shook the ring, and they decided to capture the gates at all costs. Daddy! Small legs run on the floor. My baby! A dark-haired man with glasses spreading his hands met his little daughter. The girl asked the dad where he was going again. He replied that he was to work. He said that he would return soon while he was not there. She should definitely obey her grandmother. The girl was very upset. She did not want to part with Dad, but she promised to obey her grandmother and asked the dad to look at the animals upon his return. Dad promised her and once again asked her grandmother to obey and eat well. He warmly kissed his daughter on the cheek. Tichara sadly watched this scene. Tichara, let's go, the man said. I'm sorry that it happened, he answered. For the first time I go on such a long business trip, but everything will be fine. Because next to her, my grandmother looking at the sleeping baby, said her father. In addition, I already promised that I will help you. I can't refuse, said the man. Thank you, Tichar answered. I am in a team with a rising star. I must definitely get my share, for the sake of the child, exclaimed Tichar's friend. Agreed. You probably look forward to this, Tichar said. New Delhi, Indira Gandhi International Airport. Tichara along with a friend go with suitcases. He waves alone. Next to her is another young man. Ram, have not seen each other for a long time, thanks for coming, said Tichar and shook his hand to the guy. He said in response that the lone asked him for help. April 23rd, 2044, 1612. This is tomorrow, Tikar thought, directing the arrow at the target. He shot from a bow, and all 5 arrows hit the top 10. It turns out excellent today. T'Chara had a good foreboding. April 24th, 2044, 11 hours 37 minutes. They entered the Loof Garden. How beautiful! Friends first saw such gates. But this is still a dungeon and you should not be distracted. First, you need to look around. April 24th, 2044, 2033. It got dark in the garden. They were surrounded by 8 monsters. Did anyone ask too little? They come, and friends started the battle. Now there are 32 of them. Be careful. One of the monsters inflicted a strong blow. He hit a man with glasses. He was wounded. T'Chara looked around, shouted, "Lead everyone from here! Run! Lead to the maze! T'Chara, hurry!" shouted the lone. Each time you destroy monsters, do not multiply in quantity. Does their number double? Thinking Tikar. In this dungeon, complete madness is happening. Friends went to the maze. It was a day. Tikar, a friend in glasses, said, holding his hand on his hand, "Take care of my daughter. A friend was dying. I ask." These were the last words of a man. April 25th, 2044, 5 hours, 29 minutes. One of the comrades died. Friends buried him. T'Chara cried and deeply regretted, recalling the little daughter of a comrade. April 25th, 2044, 1912. The sun sits down, T'Chara prayed. Oh, the great Shiva bless us so that I can continue my notes tomorrow. Friends were without strength. Tikar's trembling hand made notes in the diary. Last night we destroyed the 4th invasion of the Luffs. Today the 5th in a row has begun. There were at least 120 of them. T'Chara continued to write. We fought for our lives. Lufov remains about 40. I can even cope with so much one. Tikar talked, looking at the sleeping Zaya. And tomorrow we will be able to get out of here. Please, I beg, let the 6th invasion be not, asked Tikar from the higher forces. Night has come. Against the background of the battered demons, Tikar was sitting and holding a bloodied Zayu which was unconscious. Their rings shone more than ever. T'Chara cried, I promised to capture the gates, but what is the point without you? He said, holding his beloved by the hand. Tikara, it's time for you to die. A hand with a bloodied knife waved over him. Seeing in the reflection of a magic ball a preparing attack, Tikar managed to dodge and was injured in his hand. I could dodge. You are definitely the rising star of India, said Ram, whose eyes glowed red. These eyes. Ram, you have become a demon. Clamping the wound with his hand and said, Tikar, you deceived us. How could you be a demon? Zaya brought you here, said Tikar. Ram said that he had not heard anything dulled, and that Tikar's beloved was as far as he was. However, the Ram did not know that so many lifts live here. He probably should help his friends. Due to the fact that they were useless and died so quickly, he also was in danger. Bastard, shouted Tikar. He was furious. You coped with the capture of the gate, Tikar. Now give me a hurricane and go to your friends. Threatened the frames. What about the face? It doesn't matter how angry you are because you are still afraid to die, right? Asked Ram. T'Chara rushed to run. I never thought you would escape. Although this is not so important, said Ram. In any case, you will die from the poison that was in my sword. He grinned. What? What kind of sounds? Suddenly, the next invasion of monsters began. 6th. Ram was in his epicenter. T'Chara's hand began to die. Damn! T'Chara stops feeling his hand. But he continues to move. Just not like that. He cried out and ran to the next aisle in the labyrinth. T'Chara fled through the labyrinth, but in front of him was a dead end. No, everything cannot end like that. T'Chara was in despair and sat down near the wall. I no longer felt my right hand. It seems that the demon's sword was greased with poison, he wrote in his diary. It doesn't matter if it will be hoofs or poison, I will die anyway. If someone finds this diary, please tell our families that we ask for forgiveness. This was the last entry in Tikar's diary. Jun-ho read him. He still remained in the maze. Is this really the end? The last record? Leafed Jun-ho. Oh, there are a few more pages. Jun-ho continued to read. If my comrades survived, could we capture the gates? All because of the demon. Takara wrote with all his might. These damn demons. He was rightly fully poisoned by poison. O great Shiva, let Tikar Vishi rest with the world, and let sinners condemn in hell. I beg you to make a revenge of this dying warrior. It was a final record in the diary. Junho read. Thanks to Tikar, he understood everything. The number of monsters depends on the number of included players. He came here alone, so there were few of them. That is why he was relatively easily able to capture the gate. Having come here with 3 more players, even to think about it, the diary Junho took with him as an inventory. As for Luke, he shortened him for a short while. He takes him for a reason. In return, he will take revenge on Tikar and his friends with damned demons. Well, rest with the world, the young hero of India. Junho went on the maze and the building of the Association of Players. You were right, said Toku. Before we could open our mouths, the whole world found out that exactly you captured the gates. I said, joyfully reports Toku. You can't even imagine how I wanted to tell everyone at work. Junho did not want to hear anything. He just wanted to sleep. You definitely needed to come early in the morning to tell me about it. You could pass through Vita, Junho said indignantly. But the mentor wanted to say personally. In addition, the Indian government gave you a message, he added. They are grateful for the return of the diary. Families of the players were informed. The daughter of one of the players cried very much and was sad for the dad. Yes? Good, Junho said in confusion. The mentor skza that he could not hide his joy, but Junho was upset due to the fact that they recognized the truth. Still, it's a little disappointing, Toku said and left him a newspaper. What's happened? Asked Junho. I'm talking about Hurricane, I added Toku. It was created as a national weapon intended for the defense of India. Now it has disappeared from the inventory of Tichara Vishi. At this moment, Junho takes out the bow, the same Hurricane, and shows it to the mentor. He illuminated the whole room with his blue light. Are you completely crazy? Said Toku. Why are you holding it in your hands now? Shouted Toku, so much so that Junho had his ears. Then, or something, hid normally. You know that the hurricane belongs to the government of India, he continued. Junho decided to simply use and return. And what do you tell them? What did the late Tichara give it to you in Gates? Be that as it may, come up with something, said Toku. Junho assured him that in any case he would be careful with him, and he should not worry. Toku was furious due to the fact that everyone had already decided that the bow was lost. But Junho said that with this weapon he wants to attract a demon. But the demon died in the gates? Asked Toku. But if you recall the frame, then perhaps he is not the only one who hunts on the bow. In addition, the demon probably had already read the articles that the hurricane was lost in the gates. However, he is not so stupid as to believe it. For this bastard, a thing is more important than human life. Then the demon will understand that the bow is in my hands and will come for me. Junho said his idea. The mentor agreed with him. By the way, I remembered one demon here, Toku said. Devil Kal Singer. On the poster it was written, wanted alive or dead. The photo depicted a fair-skinned man with red hair of black clothes. This demon is known for its collection of bows, so it means that everyone is talking about. He seemed to imagine too much about himself, Junho said with a grin. This demon is already looking for around the world. He would not be able to get into the Luff Garden on his own, since only the 10th level can be included in these gates. If this type begins to look for me, then when the next time I will go into the unhealthy gates, he will try to grab me there. He was even stronger than Tichara, Junho reasoned. The mentor then said that Junho is in great danger and he needs to tell the government the truth. Calm down. If I start the preparation right now, there are no problems, Junho reassured it. Consider that he can be so easy to deal with me? Asked Junho. I will be in your place. I would also think so, but I still worry about you. The mentor told him and put his hands on his shoulder. Who am I forgotten? Incomparable with Junho, our hero proudly said. Do not worry. The event's like 25 years ago, not to repeat yourself, he reassured Toku. Okay. Toku calmed down. You have not changed a bit. Suddenly, Toku rang the clock. He replied, "Yes, this is Shim Toku. Is that really true? Unfortunately, this is not yet included in our plans. Of course, I will give him everything." Junho looked questioningly at the mentor. He explained that the journalists flew like flies. They learned that you are a player who captured the gate. Now they want to interview you. Junho said that it was not worth refusing. Since the battles with demons cannot be avoided, it can independently choose the battle place. "Let's arrange a press conference," suggested Junho. In a press conference room, a large hall, many people sit in the hall. Association player with Junho. They are typed on a computer. The first gates are the Curse of Dawn, then the Luff Garden. There were no such newcomers for a long time. Perhaps this is the next star of Korea, like Kim at June and Shin Song-hyun, the organizers commented. Moreover, he knows how to attract attention. Even among many treasures, he is the most radiant pebble. He is here, take pictures. People were preparing for the exit of the player. But what was their bewilderment when Junho came in slaps, in shorts, and an ordinary t-shirt? Is this an accurate player who captured 2 gates, not 1? Maybe he got here by mistake? They are so staring. Still, it was necessary to change clothes? Junho watched with a grin. "Being a gloomy ghost, I had to dress up too often. So much that it got," he recalled. Did he just wash it down? "Well, do it as you know you can," said the mentor. "Hello, I'm with Junho. The press conference will last 30 minutes, he said, going up to the rostrum and microphone. And a bunch of questions went. "Tell us more about the capture of the gate. What did you feel by dropping such a challenge? Is your debut began with the unhealthy gates for that reason?" And Junho began to tell first about the gates of the Curse of Dawn. Sitting in the hall, thought that it was. It feels like he was more than once in a similar situation. On it, you can't say that he is quite experienced. "Well, what's the last question?" Junho asked. "You have already decided which gate do you go next time?" He smiled. "Not yet. There are only gates where I really want to go, but because of the low level I can't do this yet." "What is this place?" he asked, the intrigue. "The gates of the East Sea," said with Junho. "What?" At the people sitting in the hall, pens and notebooks from the hands fell out in the hall. The whole hall was at a loss. Our hero began to actively photograph.